welcome to the Twin Life podcast. We are so happy to have you guys here with us.
Yes,
on
we are
this
very happy.
Beautiful day.
Yes.
Excuse the light if it changes. It's kind of like cloudy. It's
like
midday
outside.
Here. It's midday.
We do not have tea with us today. It's a little bit later in the day, but we have some
booze.
Yes, we have some drinks. So
some drinks.
Yeah, it's gonna be a fun podcast.
Cheers, Twin.
Cheers. All right, so with that said, while you're listening, subscribe, hit the bell, share with somebody, and leave a comment, and we will be happy to hear your thoughts on
anything we talk about.
Yeah.
We love hearing your thoughts.
Yes,
Feel free to email us any questions that you guys have, anything you want us to talk about.
Mm-hmm. If you go to our Instagram and you click the Linktree link, it'll take you to all the
ways to get a hold of us.
And
so follow us on Instagram, and then go and follow us on all the things.
Yes, exactly. So yeah, but that said, we're gonna go ahead and get started, right?
Yeah.
Okay. I don't know why I'm doing that, but
great. Something else for me to edit.
I'm used to having to hit play. Okay. Ready?
Hello.
To everybody listening out there in podcast land, welcome to the Twin Life podcast.
What's up, Twin?
What's up? How are you?
I'm good.
Doing good. Quarantining.
Oh yeah, the quarantine life.
Yes.
Exciting stuff.
It's been pretty fun. Anything exciting happened this week for you guys?
We officially signed on our house.
That's good.
So that's exciting.
That is exciting.
And so we're just in the process of getting a bunch of things like kind of settled in so we can get out there. Our flights were delayed.
Yeah, because of all the craziness.
So we are in San Diego for another month, which is fine because Ash and I's birthday is going to come up.
She can record more podcasts.
I can record more
here in-person
podcasts, which is great. And then Landon is doing a superb job in the potty training department.
Yes,
may I say, he is doing a great job. He's been like telling us he has to go potty now. So like he'll just look at me and be like, "Poop, poop is pee and poop." So which is fine. It means he has to go to the bathroom. I don't really care what he does in the potty as long as he goes to the potty and does it.
Yes.
So that's really exciting. So that's been fun. Oddly enough, since he's getting it and catching on to it so quickly.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think what else happened this week. I'm not sure.
Well, over here, we bought a mini pool.
Oh, right. We did the mini pool.
Yes, because, we bought a bubble machine a couple weeks ago, and they have one at their house, but we have one here. And then, I don't think I've told this story on the podcast, but when we got the bubble machine a couple weeks ago, the little boy that's like in the patio across from us was like looking out, and he came running out because he could see all the bubbles that were coming up out of our patio, and we ran out of bubbles because we had it going for like a really long time or whatever. And so I was like, okay, we're out of bubbles. So I guess his mom overheard that. And so she like ran out of her apartment, knocked on our door, left the bubbles, and then ran back in her apartment. And so she left some bubbles there for us so that we could play more bubbles.
Sansa scared the bejesus out of this poor child, though.
Oh, yeah. Sansa came out and like barked at him. And I'm like, Sansa, really? And he like ran back inside, and then like he came back out, and he like, we had the bubbles going enough so that they could go over to his side and he could see. And so I think that was really sweet that like there was a connection, even like people are still connecting. We are still connecting, even though we were staying at home.
And no, we didn't like sanitize the freaking bottle down before we brought it in the house.
I mean, it's soap.
No, I mean,
just wash our hands.
Okay?
Just wash our hands.
We're fine.
But it was sweet. So I was really happy that our neighbor, so hopefully when we are done, because they look the same age, hopefully when they're done, Phoenix will have a little friend.
They'll be friends. They're super cute.
But yeah, we have a mini pool. He's enjoying the mini pool since we can't go to pools right now. There's some states, like Dallas, I saw some of my friends that went to a water park the other day.
What?
They'd opened up the beach portion and the pool portion. And so there was like, they opened it up in the middle of the day.
Hurricane Harbor?
I guess it's Hurricane Harbor. No, it's in Leander, so it's not Hurricane Harbor. But like
Leander's in
Austin,
Georgia. Oh, is Austin?
Yeah. Okay, I'm sorry. So in Austin, they opened up something.
Oh, the Pflugerville water park. What's it called?
I don't know.
Oh, I'm sorry. It'll come to me. It starts with an S. Anyways, go ahead. But yes.
Okay. So they had that. They were doing that. So like people are getting out. San Diego or California has been kind of like the evil stepchild situation because apparently we are abiding by the rules, but people are pushing them as far as they can because, like we said before, it's beautiful 70 degrees outside. We're not trying to be inside. We pay mostly double the amount of money that most people in this country pay just to live in this. And the reason we pay that is because
we want to enjoy.
We want to go outside. So it's kind of like, half the year has gone by. We've wasted half a year, and the summer is going to start, and I don't want to waste the California summer inside. So fingers crossed that we we open up
to
soon,
enjoy our summer
and
very
we
soon.
can go out sooner. So I think you want to go ahead and get started into the did you hear?
Yes.
Okay. So we
we
have
can low down the list, I guess, right?
yes. So I have 2, and I'll talk about my 2, and then I guess I'll you can talk. I guess mine are really short. So there's 2 things that happened this week, this week and last week. There was a woman that posted an interesting video online about with her daughter and her in bikinis on a stripper pole. And a lot of people seemed offended by this. And I think the most offensive part for me was not that she did this. It was more that she decided to put it online. I think that you should keep some things to yourself. And I don't think it's necessary for you to be showing a video that can be very easily sexualized with your little girl. That's going to be everywhere. And now this video of this 2-3-year-old is now out for everybody to see, and for potentially predators to see.
Yeah.
Her neighbors didn't like that too much. They called the police when they saw it, and they also called CPS. So
we are not here for it. So please do not post sexualized photos of or videos or photos of your children. Even things that can be, even for her, I think she may have thought that it wasn't. For some reason, she may have thought that it wasn't sexual. It may have been just like something fun for her to do. But if you're gonna do that, then don't put her in a bikini.
Yeah.
Put her in both being in yoga pants and a t-shirt, and you can still, because yes, pole dancing is a sport. They're not, the only people that pole dance aren't just strippers. People actually athletically do pole dancing. There's competitions. And so she could have made, if that's maybe she is a stripper. So maybe that is what she does for her career.
Yeah, they didn't say she was, but
maybe she's a professional pole dancer. Also, again, no judgment. But you have to
But for me, it's just like anything else. If you're gonna drink
in the right way.
You can drink when you're older. When you turn 21, you can drink or whatever. You can smoke or whatever when you're 18. All that stuff. You can participate in a lot of activities when you're 18. Go fight a war, whatever. That doesn't mean that I want to see you in the comfort of your home,
letting your 13-year-old child,
you know what I'm saying, cheersing your
exactly.
There's things that I just feel aren't acceptable, and I have kind of said this before, that I don't think I have a struggle with shaming other moms and just kind of judging them and their choices. I think full well that I'm allowed to judge
this
woman just a little bit. Yeah. I mean, just to be honest, I just think that was a bad decision, and you make a lot of bad decisions as moms, but this one definitely was up there with some of the worst decisions.
Yeah. Next.
On that topic of motherhood, Jade, how do you say her last name? Lispro?
The Jade from The Bachelor.
Okay, so Jade from The Bachelor, she's married to Tanner. They met on Bachelor in Paradise. They're the Bachelor royalty. We covered a lot of Bachelor, so you guys, if you're listening to us for a while, you know. And she basically now is pregnant for the 3rd time. And their kids are, and the thing that's interesting about that is, she just put out a story 8 months ago, maybe, about her traumatic birth, where she had her birth in her closet in her house.
Was it traumatic for her, or did she?
She said it was. She talked about it on their podcast, the Babes and Babies podcast. They talked about how it was really traumatic for her. She tells the whole birth story on there, and she said that it was traumatic for her because she
was planning on having a home birth.
No,
anyway.
She wasn't planning on having a home birth. She and Tanner went back and forth about it, and Tanner said, "Look, I'm not comfortable with you having a home birth," and a lot of people were like, well, she probably just did it because she wanted a home birth, and that's rude to do to Tanner or whatever. But I think it was a very precipitous birth. She literally said that she started having contractions, and an hour later her daughter was born. So even if they had gotten in the car,
she would have been
birthed her daughter on the road. So there's not, literally she tells Tanner hey, I'm having contractions. They sat down. She was we're just going to kind of breathe through it, whatever, and see how much it goes. And then she goes, okay, I think it's time. We should really get ready to go. And he goes and takes a shower. And then next thing you know, she's
in the closet.
She's in the closet giving birth. And then very shortly after that, EMTs roll up. So, I mean, if you listen to the story, their podcast is the Babe and Babies podcast. It's pretty cool.
It's not called Babes and Babies anymore, is it? It's called Mommy's.
Oh, I'm sorry. They changed it. Mommy's Tell All.
Yes.
Yes.
Mommy's Tell All.
It's called Mommy's Tell All. Now, and it's a really cute podcast. It's a really cute motherhood podcast. They don't talk about just motherhood. So, anyways. Okay, so go ahead.
Okay, so this week was graduation week for a lot of people. I saw a lot of our some of our friends, our family members, our cousins.
Cousin Shayla, congratulations.
Yes, graduated, and she got accepted into college, so yay!
All that stuff. Woohoo!
So there's a lot of kids that have graduated. We're supposed to be graduating. So Barack Obama did a commencement speech. So if you want to take a look at that, feel free to Google it.
A lot of people performed.
Yeah, it was pretty cool. A lot of people like came together to help bring in like, because obviously people didn't get to walk, which is horrible.
Yeah.
And so hopefully, I would hope that next year, like maybe halfway through the next semester or something, not the high school kids can't really go back and walk. But for college students, like they kind of break up. Like if you've ever gone to community college or something, they kind of break up your walks.
Yeah,
so, like
there's so many.
You could graduate 6 months after the people that were in your class, and you would walk with the next people or whatever.
Yeah.
So they could actually like maybe hopefully they'll schedule like
have like a retrograde.
A retrograde like walk.
I mean, to be honest, Derek was telling me, he's like, I really don't. He's like,
I mean,
I don't
it is
care
pain in the butt,
if I walked.
and it was long.
He said he didn't want to
but-
walk. He's like, I don't care. Give me my diploma.
Give me my diploma. I'll take cute photos in my cap and gown to put in the in the memory book, and then keep it pushing. I've sat through some college graduations. Boring. The last thing you want to do is sit through 300
To the graduates
people.
out there, it is mad boring. Especially
boring.
if your name is on the last half of the alphabet. God forbid it's G,
literally people,
Z, something like that is super boring.
Now
and they make you sit through the whole thing. Like you can't just get up and leave.
Yeah, you got to sit through the whole thing. They won't let you in. Like if you leave, you can't come in halfway through because your last name starts with like, J. No, your last better be there with A and all the speeches and all the stuff. So one of the benefits of your kid going to a small school is that you don't have to sit through a long graduation.
Yeah.
High school graduations aren't that bad. I mean, we had 700 and something kids in our graduating class at Valencia, but they burned through them.
Yeah.
But anyways, so graduations were this week. So if you see anybody, if you know anybody that graduated, please show them some love, encourage them, and just, I don't know, share your joy and excitement for their accomplishment, because it's a big deal, whether it's high school, whether it's 5th grade, whether it's college, master's, whatever. Like, it's a big deal.
Yeah, and they should be honored for that. So.
And then in other Bachelor news, Caitlin Bristow, right? Oh, I said it right.
I thought it was Bristow.
Bristow?
Yeah, you keep wanting to call her Bristow.
I don't know, because it's spelled
B-R-I. Yeah, Bristow.
S-T-O-W-E. Bristow. Whatever. Caitlin Bristow. She put out a single this week that apparently, people apparently really liked the song. I listened to it just so I could give my opinion on the podcast. It's aight.
It was okay. I mean, Katy Perry just came out with a new single called Daisies, and that
song is
great.
Good. That's a great song.
I mean, it's not even in the same ballpark.
Yeah. Caitlin Bristow's kind of sounds like remember when Paris Hilton dropped a single?
Yeah.
That's kind of how it sounds like. It feels like, but it's not as catchy, because Paris Hilton's song was pretty catchy.
Yeah.
This song is like, kind of like if a 16-year-old girl wrote a song and then somebody recorded
that wasn't
it for
Taylor
her.
Swift, because Taylor Swift was writing
with 13.
So,
but it was about her breakup with Sean, who was the guy she picked, and she's now with Jason Tardik, who was on The Bachelor, with the season with Becca, The Bachelorette, the season of Bachelorette with Becca. So they're now in a happy, loving, excited relationship, which is great. But I
don't know. The song's fine.
It was fine. Did you listen to it?
I heard the little clip or whatever on Instagram.
Yeah,
and it was fine.
It was fine.
I was just like, oh, it's not a bad song.
I don't want to spend 99 cents or $1.29.
I probably wouldn't even so I didn't even search for it on Spotify to add it to anything.
It was okay.
It was all right.
The other thing too was Mary-Kate Olsen filed for divorce from her husband of 5 years. They have a huge age gap. She's 33, he's 50. Well, they've been married together. He's like a prince or something, like a duke or some sort of royal person.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah. And apparently their relationship was going downhill before all this coronavirus stuff started happening. But they just never filed for divorce. And so he decided that he wasn't going to renew their lease, which is up in March this month. And so he decided he wasn't going to renew their lease. So without telling her.
Not this month.
I'm sorry. What are we in April?
We're in May.
We're in May. I'm sorry. It was May 18th when she had to be out. Sorry.
Okay.
May. Different end month, but May. Yeah. And so he told her that she was going to have to be out, but she didn't give consent to end her lease. And so she was begging the landlord to be hey, please don't end our lease. Where am I where are we supposed to go? We can't. They're in New York. Their apartment's in New York. So she filed for an emergency divorce, which got denied.
Where was he planning to go?
I don't know. I don't know where he was planning to go. But she filed for an emergency divorce, so that she could take ownership of her property, because if she left her apartment, she was worried that he wasn't get her back her stuff, or he may damage her stuff or whatever. And they have a prenup also, so they have to she's worth $100 million, so her and her sister are worth $100 million, so obviously they have a prenup. But yeah, it's just a weird situation. I read it. I was like, she filed for emergency divorce. First of all, I haven't even heard of an emergency divorce unless it's like I was like, did he throw her down the stairs? Why is she filing for an emergency divorce during the quarantine? Like, I don't know. It seemed a little like extra to like take it to that level. Like,
but she clearly doesn't feel like she clearly doesn't trust the man if she feels like he's gonna destroy her stuff. But also, there's plenty of people who in divorces where like when they in marriages and they start getting divorced, where like you trusted this person when you met them, and then when it came time to like divorce, like you're like, ooh, I don't trust him anymore. So that's the court judge is like, you're getting divorced. Like, of course you don't trust your stuff with him. Like, obviously y'all don't want to be together. Y'all don't trust each other. Yeah. So that's not an extreme situation. So I kind of understand, but I don't know. It seemed real extra. But it does seem frustrating though. Like, the worst possible time to like be quarantined.
Right, and then somebody tried to divorce you. So I mean, I don't know. Our hearts go out to all the people that are dealing with like horrible relationships right now and trying to like sift through the craziness when you're confined. Hopefully, I'm hoping that what it does is bring light to scenario, like, because some people just ignore their issues. Yeah. And so when you bring people in the same room, you really understand, like, consistently together, that you really kind of learn what you can and cannot deal with and handle. Yeah. And so hopefully it forces people to communicate and talk and grow the relationship and decide and realize that they can live with this person or can't, whatever, like, you know. But that's on the lighter end of the spectrum, obviously. There's some other frustrating things going on. I talked to Kayla, my best friend, a little bit, who hopefully we'll have on the podcast at some point, about her transition. Now she opened her school today. Yeah. And she was kind of nervous and concerned about like the overall impact that it's been, like, the coronavirus has been having on the kids. Yeah. And trying to, like, you know, as a teacher, how can she, you know, make the kids still feel safe, make them understand that all people aren't bad. Like, we're not staying away from people because they're bad. We're staying away from them for safety for them and for us. Like, how do you explain that to a kid? And I just don't really want, I think Ash and I both probably agree on this, but we don't want our kids to grow up in a world where, like, our kids don't want to make friends across the street with other kids. Phoenix started school last week too. He's in preschool, and I think it's just, for me, that was a big concern when I was reading the list of, like, there's a list of, like, regulations and requirements and things that, like, we have to abide by as parents, and he has to abide by. One example is, like, the same parent that picks him up drops him off has to pick him up. So if Derek normally drops him off in the morning, if I was to pick him up, I had to stay outside and they had to escort him out with me. He has to, initially when I read it, it was saying that he had to wear a mask the majority of the day, as well as the teachers having to wear masks the majority of the day. And I was thinking about, he plays outside, he runs around, he eats, he naps. Like, how is he wearing a mask, like, during all of those activities? Like, so, you know, I was assured, like, after the first day, we decided, you know, we're going to try it out and see how it works. He doesn't have to wear a mask the whole entire day. There's just specific parts of the day where they have to wear it. It's mostly during transitions. They also do keep them in the same classroom. Like, they did do a lot of, like, moving from this classroom to this classroom, but now they kind of keep them in one classroom, and they do still go outside very often during the day. So it is still a good environment. And also, I was worried about the idea of, like, them not letting the kids interact with each other and, like, hug each other. And that's a big thing, like, with toddlers, especially Phoenix's age, like, they hug each other so much, and they, like, want to, like, take your hand and, like, show you things, and, like, I don't want them to be, like, scaring them out of touching each other. Yeah. So this is not the world I want them to grow up with, and I honestly feel like it's frustrating because, like, the little concerns that you already have normally as an adult of, like, your kids, like, in life, like, the concerns that I had for him, I wish I could go back to, like, the concerns that I had for him before, because, like, in my head it's like, wow, that seems like such a not quite as big of a deal as, like, this situation where it completely affects our abilities to interact and meet people. And, like, when you watch shows and movies, you're just like, wow, I really wish when we could freaking just do that normal thing, you know? Yeah. Or, like, when Ash and I were kids, and I'm sure if you're anywhere around our age range or older, you remember when you would just go outside and just, like, like, you would go, like, your neighbor's house and knock on and be like, hey, can Julie come and play? Yeah. And they're like, okay. And you just go play for 6 hours and you just come back. Yeah. Like, first of all, no one does that because people are concerned that you're going to get kidnapped or something ridiculous nowadays. And two, like, you can't do that. Now that person's going to be like, well, why, please don't knock on my door without a mask on. And you don't come in the house, stand outside. Julie will come outside and she's going to wear a mask and stay 6 feet away from her. And it's just, like, a lot, you know? Okay, so we do have a couple more things on here. I didn't know if we cover the candy challenge. Candy challenge. Okay, so Landon did the candy challenge.
Fruit sack challenge.
fruit snack challenge.
Yes.
Which is so cute. It's really funny. I put the video up on my Instagram and on
the Twin Life Podcast Instagram.
So go over there, take a look at that. Landon also has an Instagram of his own, but I keep it very private. He's little. I don't really like all the people.
Just mostly family on there.
Mostly family on there. But yeah, he's super adorable. So take a look at some of the kids and like see their little cuteness. Basically, the challenge is that you put like a bowl of candy or fruit snacks or something in front of a kid, and you just put the camera in front of them, and you tell them that they can't eat it until you come back, and you go away for like a minute
and see if they don't eat it.
And some kids are freaking like. Landon just kind of just quick as I walked away, he was eating it.
Fruit snacks in the mouth.
And then there's some kids that like they are just like
they smell it and they like stare at it and they like do all kinds of stuff.
I'm gonna have to do it again. Like I'll do it again and like when Landon's 3 and we'll try it again and like compare, because I don't know if he cognitively really understood what I was saying. Like you can't have this because I normally when I put fruit in front of Landon, I'm like, please eat this, because he's like sometimes he wants to eat a lot and sometimes he doesn't. So he was just like, you're not really trying to put this food in front of me and me not eat it.
Yeah.
So he was just like, he literally told me okay and then ate it like as soon as I walked away.
It's so cute. You guys have to go watch the video.
Yeah, go check out the video.
And then you had one more thing about, apparently you watched Taylor Tomlinson.
Oh, right. Yeah. Okay, our stand-up Taylor Tomlinson. She is so freaking
She's
funny.
hilarious. I'm so glad you watched it.
She is on Netflix and she is hilarious. I had so much fun watching her. Especially as like, I mean, obviously as a 30-year-old woman, like it's so funny to watch like a 25-year-old, which is like 6 years different almost from us.
Yeah.
Can you believe that?
Yeah.
We turned 31. We turned 31
I'm not really concerned about 31.
I'm not concerned about 31, but it's just like when I think about how a 25-year-old is 6 years like younger than me, I'm like, when did that happen? Anyways, so it's funny because thinking when I was 25, I thought a lot like her. So I was like cracking up at like, yeah, that's pretty much how we 25-year-old girls think when we're that age. Like it was hilarious. So I had a lot of fun.
I told you I'd like it. It's really funny.
Yeah, so check it out on Netflix.
You guys go watch it. It's really funny. She has
really
a really cool. Her Instagram has really been really funny lately. She has on Instagram a video of her doing her at-home workouts, and it's like a really kind of funny parody of like trying to keep in shape and like working out at home and stuff. So yeah, go ahead and follow her on Instagram too. She's really funny if you want like a nice tickle during your day. So
a nice little relief from the craziness.
Okay, so we're going to get into our topic today. So our topic is actually about our birth stories. So we're going to take turns telling a little bit about our birth stories. If you saw the thumbnail, obviously, before you clicked on this video, you saw that we have our sonograms with us.
Yay!
So I have like Phoenix's here. Like,
I don't have a whole entire thing here. I think my original one is in storage. Mine was only 2 sheets. Mine wasn't 4.
They gave me all kinds of.
I don't think mine.
If you're wondering what we're holding up our sonograms right now, since if you're listening and if you're watching, you can see our cute little pictures of our babies.
And if you are listening and you haven't, then go to our YouTube and subscribe and hit the bell and watch us also.
Exactly. Yes. So
and this one is Landon's.
He's so little in there.
He's so teeny.
He looks so comfortable.
Yeah, he's just chilling. If you've never, so sonograms nowadays are super fantastic, by the way. Like Ashley has like a 3D print of like
his face really good, yeah.
And then this one was just the one like the 20. I think this is the first time I could get a sonogram because they don't do sonograms every single time. When was this one?
This one says 12/10/2015.
This one says 10/4/17. So this was in what month is that? October.
This one's 12/10/15. So this was like before. This was like a month before he was born.
I think this was the day that when I got my gender reveal. Yeah, envelope. So he was a little nugget. He's so cute. Okay, so I think Ashley's gonna go first with her story.
Yes.
And I'll tell you mine. So we're going over the birth stories because next week we have our wonderful guest Brooke. She is a postpartum coach, and so we felt like we could go over our birth stories on here instead of trying to combine them because we want to hear her story and about her. I'm going to keep that podcast about, all the cool things and great things, exciting things that are going on with her. And also when we refer to some things that happened during our birth story, you'll know what we're talking about.
Yes, exactly.
So
I guess I'm going to try to keep it kind of short. Like I don't want to get like crazy because it did happen over 8 hours. But I just preface like my pregnancy went really well. I wouldn't want to say pretty good, but it went really well. I found out I was pregnant with Phoenix. I don't even remember what month, but it was like not 100% planned. But I mean, I was very happy about it, and like my mom was like excited for me, and she was like, I'm finally gonna have a grandbaby. So we kind of went into it, me and Phoenix's birth father kind of went into it like, let's just go and see what happens. So I had a really good pregnancy. I continued to work. I worked at this restaurant called the Oasis. If you've been one of our friends for a while from Austin, you already know, but it's a huge restaurant in Austin, Texas that is literally 4 stories. And it is kind of ridiculous. Like, we lift heavy things. We work 12, 13, 14, 15 hours a day, days in a row. And we made great money, but it was very hard place to work physically.
Yeah.
And mentally and emotionally and all the things.
Yeah.
So when I found out I was pregnant, my doctor told me, you can kind of keep the same schedule that you have right now, which was a ridiculous schedule for me. It was 3 doubles back to back, which is a 12 to 15 hour shift a day. 12 to 13. I mean, there's very few days we work 15 hours, but like 12 to 13 hours. And then
10 to midnight. 10 to 1.
Oh, you're right. I guess that is 15 hours.
If we got out of there before midnight on a Saturday, it was like a miracle.
Oh, wow.
Can you imagine, you people? Can you imagine starting work,
1 a.m.
getting to work at 10 in the morning and going, no breaks, till 12 o'clock at night?
Well, I feel... Okay, yeah.
I mean, that is crazy. I did this, and I'm
Thank God I
was never there just like counting the hours, because I'd have been stressed.
And
we both did it pregnant, which is like...
Okay, so I worked those hours in the early parts of my pregnancy. There were a couple of weekends because I had really bad morning sickness. There were a couple of weekends where I literally, my managers and everything were there were so great. And they told us, like, awesome. Literally, if you need a day off or you can't come in, just call us. And I was like, okay. So there's times where I took normally I'd work through the whole weekend. I would take the whole weekend. I was like, look, I can't do this. I can't work 36 hours in a row, like 36 hours.
You keep saying 36 hours.
12.
Right.
Okay, 36 to 42 hours.
There you go.
Okay, so anyways, so we're not going to argue the semantics of math right now, but I'm just saying, basing it on 12-hour days, I couldn't work 3 12-hour days back to back. I was like, I really can't do this. So once the morning sickness subsided, though, in my second trimester, I was like, boom, I can work all the days. So my doctor was kind of like, she told me to cut down my hours when she found out I was pregnant. She found out where I worked, and I was like, yeah, sure, I'll cut down my hours. And I pretty much cut down my hours to like...
Instead of working Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday double, she worked Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, singles.
Yeah. Or actually, I worked Wednesday through Sunday singles. I still worked on the weekends because that was where the good money was.
Whatever.
So I did work that. So that's technically still full time. But
it's not all at once.
Yeah, but it wasn't all in one day. So I was like, compromise. I'm not working the same crap I was working. So flash forward to about 2 months before Phoenix was born, I was starting to have really, really bad Charlie horses in my legs. And it was getting really bad. Like, there was one point I was in so much pain, I was sitting on the couch and I literally couldn't even, like, it didn't matter what I did to my legs. They just, like, were tensed up like rocks, like cramped so bad. I was, like, crying and it was just horrible. And I was like, I can't do this anymore. So I went to my next doctor's appointment. I was like, look, I've been getting these really, really bad cramps. She's like, well, you're not hydrating enough. And I was like, I was drinking so much water. It was because the amount of hours I was working. Like, you can't drink enough water to compensate for that. So, and it was hot. I was pregnant with Phoenix in the summertime. So he was born January 3rd. I worked through the whole entire summer pregnant. And it was hot in Texas, 110 degrees, ridiculous. And so my body was just so dehydrated. They did compensate for me by, like, having me let it work inside. But still, I mean, like, it was hard. It was still hard. I still had to walk outside to go to my car, and it was still hot.
Which is a quarter mile, by the way.
And just, like, function in general. Yeah, exactly. Just, like, function. It was hard. Being pregnant in the summer in Texas is hard. And it was hard what I was doing, but it kept me in really good shape for giving birth. So, I started having contractions I actually planned a induction for his due date, which is January 3rd. Thankfully, he made it all the way through New Year's, all the way through. I went out on New Year's, didn't get crazy, but I went out, wore heels, looked cute. And I went all the way to the January 3rd, and that was the day I was supposed to be induced. And my mom was coming in town. So she was driving in on the 2nd to be there by the 3rd. And so that I could get induced at 6 p.m. on the 3rd. Well, come January 2nd, like, well, January 3rd at 1 a.m., I started having, like, really, really crazy contractions. I'd kind of been having, like, kind of mild cramps, but, like, Braxton Hicks were pretty common, again, with, like, consistently kind of being dehydrated, like, that kind of causes Braxton Hicks. So I was kind of having that throughout my pregnancy. So I was more like, crap, I'm probably going into labor. But I was like, no, I can't go into labor because I'm not supposed to have this baby until 6 p.m. tonight. And so I was just like walking around the house, like denying. And then finally got to the point where I was like, you know what? I need to stop denying, be a grown up. And I was like, I need to pack. I need to start packing stuff because I hadn't packed anything. Like I was going to like have my mom with me to pack my diaper bag and everything. And we were going to drive to the hospital together and kind of get relaxed and whatever and settled. No. So we finally at 3 a.m., I woke up Phoenix's bio dad and I was like, look, dude, like we need to go to the hospital. And he had been drinking the night before and was like, laid out on the bed, like packed, kind of sober, I guess. More sober than he was when he showed up, or 2 hours before. And we get in the car, he hadn't gotten gas. I told him the day before, I was like, hey, get gas, because we're supposed to be going. And I was like, what if something happens, like, it is the due date tomorrow. We need to be ready, prepared. Of course, he doesn't get gas. This guy was great. He didn't get gas, so we get in the car, and we drive and we stop at a gas station to get gas. Mind you, the hospital, St. David's Hospital in Austin, was about 25 minutes. We could get there pretty quickly, about 20 minutes with no traffic. Thankfully, it was 3 in the morning, so there wasn't traffic, but I was like, 20 minutes is a long time to sit in a car when you're having full-blown contractions. So we get up to finally get to the hospital. We go through the women's health center. They take me upstairs or whatever. And I was still having contractions by then. I was still walking, so it wasn't like, and I kind of had to stop here and there, but it wasn't like, I wasn't like hunched over, like screaming or anything like that. It was just kind of like, I was definitely in labor. So we get to the front and I'm like leaned over the front. I'm trying to fill out all this paperwork or whatever. And finally one of the nurses that I had met previously, because I had to go to the hospital just for like, 2 other times. One time because I got rear-ended with like in the car with one of my friends, we got rear-ended. And so I wanted to go to the hospital and check. And another time was because I was having like consistent Braxton Hicks. And I was like, let me just go and see. And it was because of I was pretty dehydrated. So I knew this nurse because I'd seen her twice now. And she was like, hey, why didn't you come? And I was like, oh my God, thank God, a face I know. Yeah. And she took me into this beautiful, like, it was like the suite of suites of like freaking
St. David's has beautiful
their labor and delivery floor. Man, it was I had a window. We were joking about this earlier. I had a window, and it was like a real window. Like you looked outside, it was like a courtyard. Yeah. Like it was so pretty. It was huge room. So the nurse that checked me in wasn't my nurse. She just knew my face. I ended up having this younger nurse that came on, or actually she was my nurse until 7, because by now it was like 5 in the morning. And so they do shift change at 7 a.m. So she was with me at like 5 in the morning, or at 5 in the morning she was with me when I checked in at like 3:34. And she helped me. I told her I wanted an epidural immediately because I was having like really bad contractions. Like I was in the bathroom. As soon as I got there, I really had to pee. And I was like, I really had to pee. And I sat down and I was like, I need an epidural as fast as you can get me one, because I knew that I've heard people say that like the anesthesiology can take a long time. And I was like, I've already been waiting, like going through this for like 3 hours. I'm not trying to wait any long. Like if I have to wait an hour, I'm trying to tell you now, like put my name on the list. So she was like, no, it'll be like 20 minutes. Just like, you just have to sign a form. And I just need you to get off the toilet and get in the bed. And I was like, okay. So I come out of the bathroom and bio dad is passed out. Great. So I'm basically in the room by myself. It was peaceful in there. So that was one thing. I didn't have to worry about nonsense or whatever. So I was just like resting in there, and then it was starting to get really, really painful. Still not screaming. I'm very like calm, I guess, in painful situations. And she comes in and she's like, anesthesiologist is here. And I was like, cool. So they give me the epidural. I got it by myself. He wasn't even awake. I got it by myself. I sat there and I was like, by this time, like I was so immune to like needles and like getting poked and blood drawn and prodded and whatever. I was just like,
yeah, we always say if you are having aversion to the hospital, I had never been checked into the hospital for anything until I was giving birth.
Yeah.
So I didn't understand. Like, I knew hospitals, but I didn't like getting shots. Like, I was just like, and then just all up in your stuff all the time. So if you are worried about that, by the time you give birth, you will no longer.
You will not care.
You will not care.
Yeah. So I get the epidural, and I tell the nurse, like, or the anesthesiologist, I'm like, hey, I really need you to tell me what's going on. I really want her to talk me through the process because that was going to keep me calm. Anytime I get a shot, like, I literally stare right at them when they're drawing blood, right at them when they're giving shots, and they're always like, that is so weird. Like, are you sure you don't want to look away? And I was like, nope, I don't want to look away. I want to see what's happening. So they gave it to me, and it went in great the first time, and the only thing was weird was that it numbed me really well, but it numbed like my right side really good. And then my left side, I could still, like, I couldn't feel the full-blown contraction, but I could still feel, like, the tension, like the cramping or whatever. So I was, like, very concerned that, like,
when you start pushing.
Yeah, I was concerned, like, yeah, when I start pushing, like, we're going to get to the point where I need to push, and it's going to be, like, super painful. And I was like, this is the whole point of an epidural. Like, no pain. So they come in, they actually gave me a boost. I forget the name. There's, like, a technical term of, like, giving you a boost of the epidural, and that numbed me, like, all the way up to my chest. I was like, okay, we need to... So after that, I didn't ask for any more because I was like, we're just going to have to, tone this down a little bit. That was a little bit too much.
Yeah, they say, like, you feel like you're drowning in water. That was my biggest concern about the epidural was some people say that when you get the epidural, it feels like you're, like, drowning because everything goes real numb really fast. I was like, please don't let that happen.
Yeah, I didn't have that sensation, but so what happens next, I think this might have something to do with it. So after I got the boost of the epidural, they kept having to flip me over because, like, I don't know what was happening, but I think that Phoenix's decels were happening. So, like, his vitals were, like, not where they were supposed to be. So at one point I was sitting back and they went down so low that the alarms and stuff went off. And, like, I remember feeling kind of, like, really sleepy. And I guess that sensation was like my blood pressure dropping really low, which some people have a problem with their blood pressure going too high. Mine was going too low, which was causing issues with Phoenix. And so a bunch of doctors and nurses come rushing in there. They sit me up. I immediately throw up, which I'm pretty sure after listening to all the birth stuff, I was going through transition at that time, especially since, like, I literally ended up giving birth like 3 hours later. So I'm going through, and I had the new nurse by now, by the way. The new nurse was in, so it was after 7, she was there. And she was very sweet. It was like I was her first patient by herself. But she was so sweet, and I was like, I'm not gonna make her feel weird. Like, nobody wants to be made feel like, you don't want to be the mean person that, like, scares this poor nurse from never wanting to be a maternity nurse again, you know? Yeah. So I was like, I'm just gonna be a really good person. So I throw up. She gets me a thing. I throw up in the thing, and so the doctors rush in. They're not really telling me what they're doing. They, like, they sit me straight up, then they lay me straight back, and then they're, like, checking all these things. They do something. I have no idea what they're doing, but they're all rushing in.
For those of you who are sitting, getting into the story and going, where were you? I was asleep because I thought that since Ashley went to the hospital with Ding Ding, that she was fine until I got there.
That I had a support system.
She had some sort of support system until I got there at 9 a.m.
Yeah, unfortunately, I did not have it. But I didn't feel bad about it. Like,
I do. When I hear the story, I feel bad.
I'm so sorry.
It upsets me.
I'm so sorry. Well, next time around, I will have a great support system. Derek is going to be completely different. Okay, so all this stuff is happening. They all rushed out of the room, and I asked the nurse, like, what happened? And she was like, well, we were having something about the heartbeat and, like, decels, blah, something I didn't understand when she was telling it to me, but something was wrong and all the doctors had to come in. So they all leave, like, as fast as they came in. They all rushed out, and they laid me back down, and she's like, are you okay? And I was like, yeah. I was like, that was a little bit weird, but okay, I'm good, I guess. She's like, okay. So I was like, so I'm just gonna rest now. And so I, like, rested, and I was, like, texting the whole time. Like, I'm still texting Amber, texting my mom, trying to see where my mom is.
My mother goes to the wrong hospital.
Yes. I guess around this time, my mom had driven to the wrong hospital, which was actually, like, Round Rock's, like, 45 minutes away from, like,
it wasn't that
Millpack.
far. If you hop on Millpack, it takes you 20 minutes. It takes you maybe 15 minutes. If you do not get on Millpack, it takes longer.
Especially the time of day it was. It was, like, rush hour. It was, like, 7 a.m.
Yeah.
So she'd been driving overnight, and she was rushing, trying to get there. I actually didn't
From Atlanta.
Okay, so Amber had to tell me, yes, from Atlanta. Amber had to tell me that my mom went to the wrong hospital, because I don't remember this, that she went to the wrong hospital, because we're all, like, texting back and forth, right? And, I did call my friend Olivia, and she called Amber.
She called me at 3 a.m. and was like, hey,
yes.
your sister going to labor? I was like, cool. I was like, okay.
Because I didn't want to bother anybody. I wanted to wait until I was actually checked in the hospital.
I was like, okay, cool. I'll be there at, like, 9.
Yeah, because, like, assuming labor's going to take a long time. Like,
it took another couple hours after that.
I know, but No, if you got there at
9,
Phoenix was born at 11.
Okay, it took another couple hours
For him to be born, but okay, anyways.
I'm just saying.
So we're thinking like you had time. You did have time, which is why I didn't call you. I was like, okay, most people, like first baby, we're looking at 8 to 12 hours. Like, minimum. Like I was thinking like we were
That
here
is what
till
they
tomorrow.
tell you. It is not true. If this is your first baby, prep for it to be like it's your 6th baby.
Yeah.
You'd never
Especially
know.
if your mother has like really fast births, which our
Yeah.
mom had really fast births. So, anyways, okay, so let me finish my story. So basically, we get to the point where I'm still waiting for my mom to come. All the doctors and nurses have left. And I'm just like chilling in there. And then finally at like 9 o'clock, a nurse comes in. Now the sun's up. A nurse comes in and is like, hey, like you're 9.5 centimeters, like it's gonna be ready to go pretty soon. I was like, well, no, like my mom is on her way here. Like we need to, like, can we still wait? Do I need to start pushing right now? She's like, well, we could wait till you're dilated fully to 10 centimeters. When you're dilated full 10 centimeters, like we are gonna probably start like setting up the room for the baby. And I was like, okay. So they start setting up the room for the baby. Amber gets there. My mom gets there. And we start pushing at about 10:15.
And I am behind the curtain.
And Amber's behind the curtain. She's not with Ding
Ding
Ding. So she doesn't want to, he doesn't want to see, she doesn't want to see. So it's just me and my mom, and that's all I needed. I just wanted my mom right there because she's given birth to 4 babies, 1 set of twins. And I was just like, you know what's going on. So at some point, they mentioned forceps. And my mom, because apparently Phoenix's head was ginormous. He has a big head. I don't know the dimensions of his head when he was born, but he had a really big head. Still does have a really big head. And they were concerned. My mom was concerned about me getting a really bad tear or whatever. And there's some kind of controversy about episiotomy. I'm not sure if second time around if I will get episiotomy, because they basically say like an episiotomy is like the best analogy I heard is like if you try to rip a piece of like cloth, just like bare rip it, it won't rip. But if you cut a little bit into it'll rip more. So that's kind of like the thought process behind episiotomies, is that you don't want to get one. You just want your body to do what it's supposed to.
Yeah.
However, I have heard other women who have said that they didn't get an episiotomy and they got like a 3rd degree tear. So in the situation, knowing what I knew then, I'm happy that I got it because Phoenix's head came out right after that. So about 45 minutes of pushing. We didn't have to use forceps, even though they pulled out these giant, scary forceps that look like salad tongs. And I was like,
I told Blake, I was
happening.
like, if they bring in forceps, we're doing a C-section. Like, you're not yanking my son out of me.
Yeah, there's so many things that are bad. Like, you can hurt their neck. You're going to bruise their face. There's so many things that are not great about that. So anyways, so they get the forceps. They don't use the forceps. They just do the episiotomy, and his head comes out. And he was there. Yes, he was there crying. A perfect 8 pounds, 11 ounces. And I think he was 21 inches long. So he's big baby. And he came out, he was crying, he was screaming, which was all I wanted to hear. I just wanted to hear him crying and screaming. I don't remember if they gave him straight to me, but I did eventually end up with him. I have so many pictures of him just like laying on me. And they cleaned him up. Reluctantly, his bio dad cut his cord. He was like weirded out about it first, and then he was convinced to do it. And yeah, so that's pretty much it. So he was born at 11:05 on January 3rd, and about an 8-hour
process.
I guess like from the time I felt my first contraction, I guess it was like 11 hours. Or not
10 hours.
10 hours. Which, that is a short birth. That is a short labor and birth. Like, I hear people talk about, even our close friends.
20
like,
hours.
20 hours, 36 hours, 72 hours, just like crazy. So I am so blessed that like that is in our genes, because when you're about to hear now, she had a similar time span. So yeah, that's pretty much it. So go ahead.
Okay, so with Landon, I was working at the Oasis also, so I was like physically, I didn't work in the summer. It wasn't in the summertime. Like, it was the end of the summer when I found I was pregnant with Landon. It was in July. So like it was the end of the summer by the time I basically the exit of the season at the Oasis. God. So it wasn't very hot. I mean, it was still hot, but it wasn't like 100+ degrees outside.
Yeah.
And it started to slow down at work. So I wasn't working a bunch of crazy hours. And by December, I wasn't allowed to work anyway. Like I was like in it. I was working out 30 minutes every morning and going yoga. To work. I was doing yoga. I was like trying to stay like in it and fit the whole time, because I wanted to make sure that I at least was able to get back to which I didn't, but I wanted to be able to get back to the position I was in. And so I ended up where Landon, like, so I ended up having to go to the hospital in December because I started feeling like contractions early on.
Yeah.
And so I was in the hospital on Christmas Eve, which was sad. Blake and I were in the hospital on Christmas Eve, or on the day before Christmas Eve, so the 23rd of December. Christmas Eve. And I don't know, it was kind of sad that we, like, had to be there, and, like, we were snuggled up on this bed. We were, like, the only ones in the hospital, like, for, like, 25 minutes, or, like, for, like, 25 minutes, for, like, 2 days, a day and a half.
Yeah.
But everything was fine. I got a couple progesterone shots, and they sent me on my way, but then put me on bed rest, and, like, she basically showed me couldn't work at the Oasis anymore. And
we had the same doctor. I forgot
yeah,
that.
Dr. Truitt. Shout out Dr. Truitt.
Yes, we both had the same doctor. My doctor didn't make it to deliver Phoenix, but she did make it to deliver Landon. So.
Yeah, she was there to make it to get Landon.
Yeah, because I was supposed to be induced at 6, and he was born at 11 in the morning.
Well,
so.
Landon he was due on the 12th or 11th. I can't remember. I think he was originally scheduled to be born.
I think it was 12th. A couple of days later.
He was born on the 10th.
Yeah.
I think we left the hospital on the day he was supposed to be born.
Yeah.
And so yeah, it was great. So that happened. So I kind of got through that. It kind of sucked though because I couldn't work out anymore. I wasn't as physical, so I gained way more weight than I wanted to actually gain weight, which really made me sad. And so I ended up going another, like, the rest of the time, everything was fine, basically. Physically, didn't have any major issues. So the day of the hospital. So the whole plan that we had situated was, granted, Blake and I moved. Like, we moved on March 29th. Lena was born April 10th. So we moved apartments. So I got the whole apartment set up. The only thing we didn't get done was the nursery. So we were supposed to set the nursery up that day. And Ashley flew in 2 days before I was supposed to give birth, or till, like, Landon's due date. And her freaking flight was late, so I ended up sitting like out in the parking lot in the car for like an extra hour.
Yeah.
Which was not fun. But I started having contractions then, so it was about 6 o'clock when I started having contractions. And I was like, it's fine. Like, I've had these, like, they weren't debilitating. They were just kind of the similar ones that I had when I had gotten checked in the hospital before. So I was like, okay. I mean, if they get worse or speed up, then we'll just have to. But, I mean, I'm fine for now.
Yeah.
And so we went to the hospital. Ashley did drive because I was uncomfortable by then, so she drove.
Yes.
And then we get home, back to my place, and we kind of just, like, shut down the night, like, hung out.
Yeah.
Talked, and I kind of told her I showed her Landon's room, and it was basically just a whole bunch of bags of, like, baby shower stuff.
Yeah.
And none of it was organized or put away.
Yeah.
So I'm, like, upset because I'm like, my son is not gonna have any, like, way later, I'm, like, upset about this because I'm like, there's nowhere for Landon to be, which is weird because if you've had a first or second baby, like, he doesn't sleep in there. He sleeps in the room. Yeah. He sleeps in the room anyway. But so about 5:30 in the morning or 5 o'clock in the morning, I wake up having the contractions wake me up. And so I was like, okay. So I look at my watch and I'm like, or look at the clock, not my watch, and have this at the time, but I'm looking at the clock and I'm like, okay, so it's this time. I need to start counting, like, seconds and then, see how close they are. And I was about 5 minutes apart. So I was like, time to go to the hospital.
511.
Time to go to the hospital. So wake Blake up at 5:30. I'm like, babe, it's time to go. He's like to go? I'm like, yeah, time to go to the hospital. He's like,
to go.
Okay. He's like, okay. He's like, okay. And then he gets up and he's like, do I have time to take a shower? I'm like, yeah, babe, like, take a shower. It's fine. He's like, okay. And then Ashley's like yelling at him, telling him, like, get out of the shower. Cause I had to get in the shower. I wanted to take a shower because I knew I was like, I'm not going to get to take it. First of all, like, I wanted to take a shower. So I was fresh and clean for all the goop that was about to come out.
Yeah.
So I was just like, I want to make sure I at least got a good shower in before I couldn't take a shower for 2 days.
Yeah.
I felt refreshed. So we're able to take a shower. We get in the car. It's a little bit before 6 o'clock. There was no traffic at that time of morning. And Blake is hauling butt to this. Like, he is driving so fast to this freaking thing. And I'm slowly getting more and more uncomfortable. So by the time we get to the hospital, I'm uncomfortable.
Yeah.
And so I'm standing there kind of
car ride's the worst part.
Yeah, I'm standing there, like, with my head, like, kind of leaning up against the countertop when we get upstairs to the prenatal ward. And I was just like, I was like, babe, can you fill out the paperwork? And he was just like, yeah. He starts asking me questions, like filling out the paperwork. They get it. Ashley leaves and goes home to sleep for a little bit because she was working at the Oasis that afternoon.
Yeah, for a couple of shifts.
Which, by the way, she flew in. So Ashley lived here in San Diego at the time. So she flew in from San Diego, which is why I picked her up from the airport. Right. But then she picked up shifts at the O also because you can do that.
Yeah. Made a little money.
Yeah, I made a little money.
Because I knew it was going to take a while.
Yeah. So we go to, let's see. So we're in there. We go into this room. We go into a triage room, and they lay me down. They check and see how dilated I am. I think I was like 3 or 4 centimeters. I think it was 3 centimeters. I think I was 4 centimeters dilated when they checked me into the hospital. I was like, she said 2 or 3 centimeters dilated, which was, I wasn't moving very quickly, she said. So, which was not true.
Womp womp.
Which was not true. So she was like,
as opposed to me when I checked in, I was 5 or 6.
She was asking me like what my pain level was, and I have apparently I do the pain scale wrong. But she told me she asked me what my pain level was, and I said it was about like a 7. She was like, okay, so she was like kind of trying to chart my contractions. And I was having severe pain in my lower back, which I learned was back labor. Not fun. It smells like someone's kind of stabbing you in the back every few minutes. It hurt really bad. So what she would do was like every time I'd have a contraction that was painful, she would put pressure on my lumbar spine.
Which is called counter pressure.
Counter pressure on my spine. And it would help. And then she was like, okay, so what I want you to do is just walk around the hospital for like 45 minutes. And then after 45 minutes, we'll check back in with you and see how you're doing. The longest 45 minutes of my life.
Well, you should have told her 7.
It was
you should have told
so.
her 10.
I should have told her 10, and she would have checked me in the hospital. It hurt so bad. Like it literally would stop me. Like I would lean up because they have these railings because it's like the walking path for the pregnant women. So I had pregnant women lapping me while I'm like every couple minutes I'm leaned up against the wall and Blake's like putting counter pressure on my back. He did that for like 5 hours, like because it took that long for me to get my epidural. So I didn't get my epidural till Landon was born at about 4 something in the afternoon. I didn't get my epidural till like an hour or so before that. So
yeah, when I got back from work, you had just gotten it.
It was long. It was a long time.
Buddy, y'all should have just gone home.
I was just gone home and done what?
That in your comfort of your own home.
No, because then I have to get back in the car and drive.
You're right.
I was already there at the hospital. So
Yeah.
if for whatever reason, like somebody gave birth before the anesthesia, then maybe it would open up for me to get. I just didn't want to move anymore. I was like, do you know how much work it is to get out of my gown, in my clothes, into the car? No,
I got you.
That's a lot of work. I was already there. So I just curled up on my side, and Blake literally, his chair was this close to me the whole time. He was sitting this close to me the entire time until then our friends got there. We had a bunch of friends that came in. It was really nice. They came in and supported me.
I was there.
They brought
finally.
food. They brought bottles of whiskey.
My mom was there.
Ashley, Kayla, all of our friends. Like
We just hung out.
everybody just came in and hung out in the room with me.
Yeah.
And then eventually Blake kicked everybody out, and I went to sleep I thought it was like 10 minutes. Blake said I slept for a good while. Didn't seem like that to me, but he said I slept for a good while after the epidural. And then the nurse came in. She's like, oh wow, this is gonna move pretty quickly. I was like, okay. And she was like, yeah, no. She's like, I bet you're gonna have a baby real soon. I was like, okay. So she was right. They started prepping the room up. She was the nicest lady. They started prepping the room up, and
They kicked me out.
They
kicked my mom.
Yes, everybody had to leave except for me and Blake and the doctors. That was it. Nobody else was allowed in there. We had like a squad of people. It was like 9 or 10 people.
There were a hell of people
waiting on Landon to get here.
Yeah.
And it was just Landon came in about 38 minutes. I did like 3 solid pushes. They were like, they tell you to push in like increments of 12. I think it's 3 increments of 12. It's 10 or 12 seconds. So we did 3 of those, and the last push, he was here. And he was
Bam.
He was cute and little
and tiny as heck.
He's 7 pounds 4 ounces or 7 pounds 8 ounces, something. He was under 8 pounds.
He was just slid out like a jellyfish.
He was not quite like a jellyfish. He had a tiny head, his little head.
Still does.
Yeah, he still has a little head, but he was so cute.
His dad.
I got to hold it. Yes, Blake has a small head also, which is great. I'm grateful for it. But the first thing they did was hand him to me, and then what was funny was I kept saying to them, I was like, "Do you need him?" Like, "No, you can hold him as long as you want. Like, we'll take him when you're ready." Because I thought they needed to take him from me, and they just kept telling me, "No, you can hold him as long as you want." I was like, "Really?"
That's what that Austin is great about.
And they were just like, I just got to hold him, and I just looked at him, and I just cried. I cried. Actually, okay, so we're gonna post our pictures, our post-natal pictures. I am bawling in tears, right? Okay, Ashley is like just got this
cheesing away,
this super grin on her face, which I am super excited about Landon coming in. So, but I am like Blake and I are both just crying uncontrollably. Like, it was so great. And I even still, when I watch the videos of Landon, like because they bless the Lord for freaking iPhone like live photos. It is cool to see just like little like half a second clips of like the moment right after like Landon was here. So, but yeah, he came and he was He was tiny but adorable and snuggly. He had black hair, like straight. He had a full head of hair.
Yeah. Phoenix had black hair too.
If you have heartburn,
I think that's true because I have mad heartburn and he had hair.
Yeah, Landon had hair and Phoenix had hair, and Ash and I both had mad heartburn.
I never had a tum in my life until I was pregnant.
Yeah, I never had heartburn ever in my life until I was pregnant with Landon. So, but yeah, so he came full head of hair, and he didn't really cry. Like, he cried enough for us to know that he was alive. But when he laid on me, he just looked at me. He just looked right at me. And he's changed a lot. Like, his hair was silky black.
Yeah.
It is now, like, if you've seen any pictures of him, it's like,
it's
blonde and curly now. He has blue eyes.
Like
he has
hazel green
eyes.
blue.
They were like bright blue eyes when he was born. So it was fun. I mean, it wasn't fun, but thinking back, it was kind of traumatizing early. But like now, we'll get a little bit more into like our postpartum experience when we talk with Brooke next week. But hope you guys enjoyed.
Yeah, I think when we look back on our births, we think positive things.
Yeah, for sure. It definitely was a positive experience. Honestly, when I hear some people's stories, I'm like, oh my gosh, that sounds...
Yeah.
I honestly, sometimes I have like a complex about, I feel like my birth went so smoothly that like I have a complex about these moms that had these horrific like birthing experiences. So I would say listen to your mom podcast, be as knowledgeable as you possibly can when you go in there and advocate, have somebody to advocate for you and be knowledgeable so you can advocate for yourself.
Yeah, so you can ask for what you want. And if you aren't able to, have somebody that can.
Yeah, for sure.
But okay, well, that said, I think we're done
with
this week's podcast. But thank you guys so much for watching and listening.
Thank you.
We love you guys, and
we will see you guys.
This is actually our 20th episode.
20th.
So we made it all the way.
20th in 2020.
Yes, 20 in 2020. We made it all the way to our 20th episode, despite quarantine and whatever else. We made it all the way to episode 20. So thank you guys for hanging out with us. 20 episodes and 750 downloads. So we are chugging along.
So happy.
My goal is 52, so we're almost halfway there. So, but again, thank you guys for listening, and we love you, and we will talk to you soon. Okay?
Bye.
Bye.